going on, guys? We are on our way back out to the shop. You see it's been snowing. It's supposed to snow for the next couple days. Luckily we were able to go into Salt Lake today, pick up a load of steel, and we got back before it started snowing real bad. So we got the material here to start another project. So let's get after it. Alright guys, so here's the next chapter of the roller skids. I've been communicating back and forth with the engineers for the company that I have made the previous roller skids for. They want some more of them built. These ones are going to be slightly modified. I did go meet with the engineers and we discussed a couple modifications that we could make to make them better. When I was talking to one of the engineers a couple weeks ago, I told him that typically when I build a skid, it has a C-channel frame. And so you have a C-channel frame underneath. It's got the fork pockets, but they're kind of built in. Then the deck on top stays pretty dang flat because you've got that really rigid channel frame underneath. And so he's like, well, give me a quote. So I sent him a quote and he shot me an email back, said we want 3 of them. So that's what we're going to work on here. We've got the material for 3 here. So tonight we're going to see if we can't get the channel over on the saw, cut the parts for at least 1 frame, and hopefully get it all fit up and maybe even the fork pockets tacked into place. That's kind of my goal for tonight. See if we can't start cutting some parts. So I think we got this all figured out. Here's our rough sketch. Nobody judge. So the center of our fork pockets is going to be 19 inches. The width is actually going to be 36.5 total. But the bolt centers are going to be 35.25, so that's why I had to go 36.5. 60 inches on the length. Fork pockets are running this way. So we know what our lengths are now. So we're going to go over to the saw and start getting these parts cut out. Alright guys, we've got our channel over here. We're going to take these pieces, clean them up with the grinder. I cut me a little coupon here. That's going to help me lay out where the fork pockets are going to go. So I'll lay those out and then I'm going to flame cut these. So we'll go ahead and torch cut those. After we get those cut, clean them up with the grinder, and then we'll be able to lay these other pieces out and start fitting up the actual frame. I didn't want to cut the tube until I was sure what the measurement was going to be on these. So once I get these cut, I'll pull a measurement just to double check. I'm hoping that it's an open corner out here. I'm going to see how it goes with dual shield. I may weld those open corners up with short arc just because I feel like I can get a little bit better, more consistent bead around there, and it'll be a lot more low profile, less cleanup for this particular joint. That's the plan with those. On another note, I did finally get my machine tools here. It was a fiasco, but they did come. So, I'm just going to show you guys what I got. If you guys don't really want to see this and don't really care to see what kind of new tools I'm getting, drop a comment, let me know, and I'll quit doing it. And I assume that most of the guys and gals that watch this channel are probably also into tools. I just like tools. And so if there's the same demographic of people watching the channel that I am, then yeah, bring on the tools. So here we go. The first thing I got that I was waiting for, and I was actually waiting for these so that I could get the bars for the window mounted. They did finally show up. Is a nice set of countersinks. And I've needed these for a long time. So this is a pretty nice set. I believe this set was, I want to say $150. That's one thing about machine tools, is they are not cheap. I bought another set of center drills. They come with 5 sizes. I do kind of like the case that they come in. This specific set. This is the exact same set that I already have. But you can see there's anything from this little teeny guy right here, a number 1, clear up to a number 5. This set was on sale for 25 bucks, I believe. The next thing I got was, and believe it or not, I've never had one of these, but it's a center for the lathe. It helps you line things up. The other thing I got it for it was, you really need one of these when you line up your tailstock, so that as you machine things, if you're doing a long cut, to be able to make sure that your headstock and your tailstock are aligned, you really need one of these. And I'll actually show on one of the videos how you align your tailstock. But anyway, I needed that for that very purpose. So this was $20, I think. So they're not terrible. And then the other thing I got, and this is something that I've needed for a long time. Comes in a nice case. It's kind of cheap, but it's kind of nice, you know what I mean? And this is a pipe tap set. So it's got anything from 3/8 clear up to 1¼ inch. If you work with pipe and pipe fittings, that's definitely a handy tool to have. So anyway, those are the new tools for the shop. Hopefully that'll give us that much more ability to work on things. I know it'll make my life a little easier, because having the right tool for the job usually always makes your life a lot easier. So, alright, back to the project. I've taken and put a mark on my template on either side, so I can just line it up with my mark here, get it nice and centered. Then all I have to do is take and check my measurement over here, 1/2 inch, and I moved it, so I get to start over. Okay, that looks good right there. So I want to go around the outside of this, because I want an open corner weld. So that one's all ready to cut. So now I'm going to take my other one, I'm going to hurry and lay it out. I'll drag the torch out and get ready to cut those. We'll go to that point. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cut these with the torch. A little information. Using a number 1 tip for this thickness of metal. If you look it up online, Victor actually has a table for torch cutting tip thicknesses, and you can get on there and it'll tell you for what thickness of metal you want to use which tip to give you the optimum cut. And then another pointer for you, throw some plywood down on your floor whenever you're cutting in your shop or your garage so that you don't chip up your concrete. You always want to make sure your torch tip is nice and clean. Okay, this is where we're at. I'm going to take some spacers here. It's just 2 pieces of 1/4 inch plate, and I'm going to slip them underneath either end of this 3x6 tube. Because we want to shim it up so that it's centered of our holes here. This tube has a seam. I like the seam on the bottom. I would just rather it not. There's a chance that it could rock a little bit if the seam is on top because it's not flat against the material. It may be a long shot. I'm anal. So a lot of little things like that I try to do to just make it better. Okay, so with a joint like this, something I like to do is I'll put a tack like somewhere on the inside here. I'll probably tack them on this inside corner, and that's where I'll put all my tacks. Then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll take my grinder disc and I'll gouge this out, and then it'll give me a nice little trough to lay my weld in there. That's going to do 2 things. It makes the weld look prettier and it gives you better penetration. Alright, let's square this up, see if we can't get it tacked up. Okay guys, we got this all tacked up. You can see our open corner joints look good. Got it all squared up. Everything's all tacked together here. So it's all ready to be welded out. So that might wrap this one up for the night. I gotta go in and eat dinner and get some family time. So we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow. Alright guys, we're back out here tonight. So we're gonna try to get the frame all welded out. I'm gonna start by gouging these out and getting these top ones welded out, and then I'm going to do the bottom flat right here on all 4 corners. That's going to hold the main frame together, and then I'm also going to start running these welds on the fork pockets, and we'll get all the flats done, and then we'll just start doing the flip, weld a little, bounce around, keep it cool. We'll start playing that game. So that's what we're going to try to get done. Once we get that done, we'll be able to get the plate up on the forks of the forklift, and we'll cut our piece for the deck, and then we'll set it on top. We'll fit it up. Once we're to that point, then we just got to start figuring out the whole pattern for the rollers and stuff. So I'd really like to try to get to that point tonight. That's kind of my goal, so let's just see what we can get done. Alright, so just so you guys understand, when I say I'm going to gouge this out, this is what it looks like when you get done gouging it out. So basically it's just a little channel or a little trough to put your weld in. And the way I'm doing it is I'm just tipping my grinder up like this and kind of digging that away so that I've got somewhere to lay my weld. got this all welded out. So we'll just go over real quick what we did. So we've welded these inside and out. Corners are welded. We rounded our corners so somebody doesn't get a hip laceration. Outside's welded as well. We're ready to start fitting the top plate. Bridger's got the plasma all set up, so we're going to get the plate up on the forklift, and then I'm going to see if I can't get that piece cut, possibly even stitch welded on. If we can get it to that point, we'll be doing really good for tomorrow. We'll see if we can't get that far. I'm just going to tack the corners because I know I'm going to have welds on the corners. I personally don't like to tack out here in no man's land because I don't know where my stitches are going to go. So I'm going to tack the corners first, and then I'll be able to lay my stitch pattern out. I always try to put my tacks in my stitch pattern, so then when I run my welds I can just go right over the top of my tacks and you don't see them after. Tomorrow night we'll come back out, lay our stitch pattern out, we'll run our stitch welds on it, and then we'll be able to get our rollers over and start laying out where we want the holes to go. We'll get the mag drill out, we'll drill our holes, drop the bolts in, and hopefully tomorrow night it'll be done so I can deliver it Friday morning. These guys are in need of a skid in a bad way, so that's going to wrap it up for the night. See you guys tomorrow. Alright, what's going on, guys? We're back out here tonight. We're going to get right back into it. So we got to try to hurry and get this done tonight. I'm going to go ahead and lay out my stitch pattern around this. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to do like a 2-inch on 12-inch stitch pattern. When I say a 2 on 12 stitch pattern, that means 2-inch stitches on a 12-inch center. If I say 1 on 12 or 2 on 12 or 1 on 6 or whatever, that's what it means. Just some more fabrication talk. Go ahead and get this laid out and start stitching it up. Let's get after it. Okay guys, so we got that all stitch welded. See, this is why I like to split up my stitch welds, measure them out. It looks uniform, it just looks better. We went ahead and rounded the corners, got them all cleaned up. Took all the rough corners off, rough edges, hit all these edges. So now we're ready to get the rollers up here and start fitting them. So I'm going to get those over here and we'll start figuring that out. Alright, so I got all the hardware taken off these. I got them set up on top of the skid here. So here's my plan. I'm actually really happy with how this is fitting on the skid. Everything looks really good. You can see the bolt holes here. I'm going to be able to run a bolt through that hole, and the nut and washer and lock washer will be underneath here inside the flange. So I'll be able to do that to all these outside holes. I'll probably put one in the middle here. I think that's going to do exactly what we need to. So I'm going to get the transfer punch. So I got my transfer punch set here. So I'll take my transfer punch, run it through here, smack that baby down, and then we'll be able to go ahead and grab our mag drill, drill those holes, slick as a whistle. The only other thing there is left to do once this is bolted down is there is a backstop that I got to put right here. So I'm going to pop this roller out and I'll move it to this hole. And then there's a backstop built out of 3 pieces of 2x2 angle. It shouldn't take much time at all. I think I gotta bolt it to the roller here. No big deal. So we'll go ahead and get those holes drilled and then we'll go to that point. Okay, holes are drilled. You can see those annular cutters make a freaking beautiful hole. So the next step is going to be to get the rollers over here. I think I need to mount them. After I get them mounted, I'm going to go ahead and start figuring out that little bumper thing that goes on there, and then we'll go to that point. Alright, so I want to go over a couple things here. I've got my angle cut, and I got my 10-inch wide piece here, and then I got 2 7-inch pieces here. They're actually 6 and 7/8, and I'll tell you why. If you want to do like an angle frame like this, there's 2 ways people typically do it. I'd say probably the most common way, if you're going to do a box or weld these on a 90, is you cut these at a 45 and then you butt them up together and you have a weld here and here. That's probably the most common. The other way that is fairly common is you take and cut it like this. So you cut this piece off, which is what I've marked. So I'm going to cut this piece off. This is going to go right here, and then I'm going to weld it up flush. One of the things that I like about that is it gives me an open corner to weld, like so. So that's the plan. So now I'm just going to take my little portaband here, and I'm going to cut these, cope them, and get ready to weld them together. So now when I weld it together, I'll be able to weld it just like that. It is more work this way, I think, because you've got 3 welds you got to do, but it'll go quick. We'll be able to buff it off to where it's flush. No big deal. Okay, so I cleaned these up with the grinder. There's what my cope looks like. You can see I've beveled that joint, so it's going to flow in there nice and neat. And then these are open corners, both of these out here. So it should work just right. We're going to get these tacked up. I'm going to run this with short arc, get it mounted to the skid, and we're just about home free. Okay, we got this all cleaned up. I didn't bother grinding the inside welds flat. There's no reason to. That fits snug as a bug in a rug. It would be a lot easier to just weld this to the skid, but I'm worried for some reason they might want to pull it off. So for convenience sake, convenient for them, not me, I'm going to unbolt this roller, slide it forward, so that I can transfer punch the holes on the end of this. I'll drill them by hand, throw the bolts in it, and then that should be it. So that's the plan.
It's time for today's super cool tool.
I really like being organized, so I figured I would invest a little bit of money into some tool organization, and I'll show you guys what I got. We'll go ahead and open these up and take a look at them. I'm actually really impressed. This got here in one piece, because I did have it shipped in. There is a place I could buy these locally, but I honestly saved a little bit over $100 by buying the set. I bought 2 off Amazon and 1 off MSC, so the total was 2 something. I got a quote for 1 and it was $144. If you shop around, that's definitely one thing I like to do, is I'll shop around and I'll look online versus buying it from the store, and usually a lot of stuff like this you can get online for cheaper. Let's go ahead and show you guys what I got. So this one, they are made in the USA, and it's this, I don't know how you say it, H-U-O-T, so it's probably Hwat or Hwot, I don't know. Hwat? It's probably Hwat. Anyway, boy, let me tell you what. What it is it's a tap and drill holder, and I probably won't use it as much for the drill part, but for taps this is going to be awesome. I think what I'll do is I'll probably just put 2 of each size. They go from 632 clear up to half 20. So you got half 20, half 13, 7/16 20, 7/16 14. So the cool thing is it does fine thread and coarse thread. I figured that would be cool. They do make one more that's metric, and I'll probably end up getting one of those for the tap and drills too. Not to mention, it'll be nice to have 4 instead of 3, So I'll probably, you can see they are stackable. So I'm probably going to build some sort of a bracket and find somewhere over here. I don't have a whole lot of room, but I do want them close to this because this is where all the machining takes place. So I could have gone the route of just putting them all in my machining toolbox, but where I worked before for quite a while, we were doing that there, where we had a drawer chock full of taps, chock full of end mills and drill bits and that sort of thing. And it's okay, you can still find what you need, but it takes you a lot longer. You got to dig through there and find the right size, and it's just harder to keep it organized. So I like the thought of these little drawers, especially with drill bits, and I'll show you. I did order one specifically for drill bits, and I think that's going to be awesome, and I'll show you why I like that. So these are the two that came from Amazon, and I'm interested to see what kind of condition they're in versus the one that came from MSC. I'm pretty sure that one shipped from Reno. We've got an MSC in Reno, so I can have stuff on my doorstep next day if I order it early enough. These came from All Industrial. They were ordered off of Amazon, but All Industrial is who shipped them. So I'm interested to see if they have any damage. Looks like the packaging is all the same. They do come with some stickers. These are long strips. I'm not quite sure what for. So this one here is the end mill dispenser. I am very impressed by the packaging. There are no dents, no scratches. So you can see the end mill. This one has 1, 2, 3 slots, 2 slots, 3 slots, 2 slots, 3 slots. So it's kind of handy. I'll be able to fit a couple. In here. Plus there's some storage back here, so you could turn them sideways and stack them in here. Oh, these ones are extra deep. I didn't realize that. So with 7/16 you'll be able to stack at least 4 in there. And these go up to 1 inch. So that's pretty sweet. You got 2 1-inch sections here. You could also split them up, 4 flute, 2 flute, and depending on if you had some that were high-speed steel, carbide, cobalt, so that's pretty cool. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. I'll give you a look here at how they stack. If you look at the bottom here, there are some dimples, which is pretty ingenious. These ones here are concave on the top. The ones on the bottom of the other box are convex, and so they just kind of made up together. You can see they snap right in place. So if I build some sort of a little bracket, some sort of a little tray out of angle iron or something, that's going to hold them all together. They're labeled end mills, taps with drills. The last one that I'm going to show you is actually the one that kind of got me on this little drawer kick. If you only have one drill index and you snap the only bit you've got in 3/8, instead of driving to the hardware store and picking up a couple more, it's nice to have just a box of 10, and then when you snap one, it's no big deal. You can always keep track. When you start getting low, you order another box. So this is the route I'm going to go, and since I'm doing more and more work on bigger projects, it's going to be good for me to keep this stuff in stock and not have to order and wait for things to come in through the mail, that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of an investment up front, buying the boxes, and then mainly the biggest investment is buying the hardware up front. You know, buying the taps, buying the drills, buying the end mills. I mean, that stuff's expensive. But once it is paid for, once it's all bought and I'm stocked up, I shouldn't have to buy some for quite a while. And if I do end up having to buy any, it's only going to be one here and one there. My plan is to just start buying like 3 or 4 boxes of drill bits at a time. That's kind of my plan. Anyway, I'll go ahead and show you guys that last one. So this is kind of cool. This one is for drills, fractional drills. And so it goes from 1/16 clear up to 1/2 inch. For all the smaller stuff that you would break more often, this is going to be pretty sweet. You can see that I can store more boxes back here if I have more than what fits here. And they are in 1/64 inch increments, so You know, if you do machining, you definitely want the different sizes, and you want them in 64th increments, just because with machining you're typically doing like drilling and tapping and that kind of stuff, roll pins, things that require very incremental changes. These drawers are pretty deep, so there's the 3. I am going to get the metric tap set. I'm either going to stack them like this, or I'll stack all 4 of them on top of each other. Haven't quite worked that out yet, and I haven't figured out where I want to put them yet, so I just wanted to give you guys a look. One of the things that makes you better at being a good mechanic, a good welder, whatever your thing is, when you're organized, you're just so much more efficient, saves time, and time is money. So just wanted to give you guys a look. So that's what we got for now. Alright guys, we got this wrapped up. Bolts are all tight, everything's nice and straight, flush. So if I check this with a level, I wanted to see how flat it was. And there is just a teeny tiny bit of movement there. It's like 1/16 or less. So I'm pretty happy with that. And if you check this way, the middle is definitely the high point, but it's about the same. So I think it's gonna work just dandy for them. So that's pretty much gonna wrap this one up. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off the rest of the oil, blow it off with the air, make sure there's no metal shavings on it, clean it up, make it look nice. And then I'm gonna load this up, get it to the customer tomorrow. So I've got 2 more of these to build. It's the exact same process, I just got to build 2 more of them. So got 1 down, 2 more to go. Just want to say we appreciate you guys watching, we appreciate the support. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. Make sure you hit the bell so you're notified when we come out with a new video. So that's going to be the last of this one. See you on the next one. So tonight we're going to try to start getting our game plan together. So tonight we're going to try. Actually, just scoot it out to where it will pass the forks. Lift up. Okay, if I cut it right here, yeah, woo! The bolts should miss those pockets. Or at least I'm hoping. That looked like I flipped off the camera. Or at least I'm hoping. If you're not already a subscriber, please do so.